Hello, greetings, everybody. Welcome into the Warchant Report, powered by Cummins, Week 2 edition. East Texas A&M coming to town. If you've got a home, you need backup power. You need a home generator. Cummins has got you covered. If you got a boat, you need a generator in your boat to get that AC cranking. Cummins has got you covered. If you are going to be on your RV, you need a generator. Cummins has got you covered. Give them a follow over at Cummins Lifestyle. It's all one word. If you're at a youth sporting event, you want portable power. Plug in a fan, plug in your laptop and work. Maybe Jeff Cameron will be doing that Friday evening as his son suits up for the Leon Lions. We're going to check in with our guy live. But before then, check out Cummins Lifestyle. It's all one word. Noles behind the operation, supporting the program. Give them a follow on Instagram. The two gentlemen on my screen, not only handsome, but extremely talented at speaking sports. You can come and hang out with them live in the flesh right before the game at Hotel Indigo for a meet and greet that starts at 10 a.m., coming off the heels of their pregame show, which starts at 9 a.m. as we get you ready for the East Texas A&M Lions. Noon kickoff, 14th ranked, everybody, 14th ranked Florida State back in action. Excited to say that, excited to have that, excited that you guys are here. And I'll start with you, Jeff Cameron. Florida State, obviously, huge win over Alabama coming off of it. I don't want to say what was most surprising. Let's say what was most impressive to you. Was it the fact that Herb Hand, with 80% new pieces on the front of his offensive line, was able to push around Alabama and help get 31 points on the board? Or was it the fact that Tony White started 7 guys that were amidst the suck of last year and had them limit Alabama to under 3 touchdowns?
Man, it's a tough question, and that's cool. It's cool that that's a tough question.
Absolutely.
I just say when people ask, and I'm going to ask the question or answer the question that I wish was asked of me like a politician, I just say the line of scrimmage, Aslan. That's what I say. I just go, well, the line of scrimmage. How in the world did Florida State win the line of scrimmage on offense and defense? Both points of attack really kind of dominated on both sides of the ball there. So both guys, whether it's Gus Malzahn or Tony White, get all the credit in the world for having those kids ready to play. That was an intense, focused effort, start to finish. Really, I had nothing but kudos for both units and for the fact that they won at the line of scrimmage.
Tom, what are you most impressed about? Let me see if I can put you in the corner. Hopefully you're not a seasoned politician. Hopefully you're just a junior politician at this point. But you know, it's incredible that Herb, to me, got these, 4/5 of his offensive line, new guys, got them to play side by side in a really effective manner, especially considering they didn't have a full spring together. But then I think about the fact that, again, Tony White, I think 7 out of the 11 starters were guys that played here last year, and nothing about this defense last year looked great, yet somehow these 7 pieces were huge parts of the reason why the defense looked great. What were you most impressed about?
In general, I would say that this team was able to cash in on opportunities, and they showed the heart to be able to finish the game and respond to some moments of adversity. So by that, I mean, in the first half, your first 3 possessions, you scored touchdown, field goal. Your 4th possession, it's a driving rainstorm inside of 2 minutes. You don't want to take any risks, so you go into the break. Your first punt is your first possession of the second half, and then you score a touchdown on your second possession of the second half. All right, that's fantastic. So that means that you were able to handle the pressure within the locker room at 17-7. Probably a place, I think if they're being honest, they did not expect to be. You come out the second half, you even extend the lead, and then when you get hit in the mouth with some adversity, self-inflicted as it was with a muffed punt, you get a stop off of that possession, and at 24-17, when the game really tightens up, you finish the game. It's the composure, Aslan. That's the thing. It's the composure and the maturity that I saw from both sides of the ball. It's not the easiest thing in the world to play from in front, especially when you're an underdog, because now you go, oh no, what do I do with this lead that I thought I would be chasing all day? They handled it very, very well.
All right, well, I went Kalen DeBoer in the first part of the show, 0 for 1 on my questions, getting direct answers. It's fine, everybody. Y'all pray for me on this next one. So, guys, listen, we said at the top of the show that 14th ranked Florida State Seminoles back at home this weekend to take on Texas A&M. You beat the heck out of Alabama. We'll see just how good they are in a few weeks when they start playing teams like Wisconsin and their SEC slate. They get they get Louisiana Monroe this weekend. But it was such an impressive win over a team that we think has a lot of NFL talent, because talent evaluators tell us that. So when you were able to have such an impressive win like that, Jeff Cameron, I know it's only 1 week in and we got 11 more of these to go, but would you be more upset or disappointed if they were not in the playoff? And you're a dad, so you know the delineation between being upset at your kid, but then being like disappointed, right? Like, and all of us as sons, we know, like when your dad tells you he's disappointed, it kind of hits differently. If this doesn't end up being a harbinger of what the season's going to be, the way they were able to trample Alabama, what would your mindset be?
Yeah, no, I think to answer it directly, I would be disappointed, because I think that the talent that you just spoke of regarding Alabama, it's unquestionable. Now, they may not be an organized team. They may not have a good year. They may not be able to do a lot of things. We've seen plenty of good teams have bad years, or I should say good players on teams have bad years. But I think Florida State showed that they're there to fight at the line of scrimmage against anybody. And I think they're going to be able to run the ball against most teams. Listen, you've got to win one more, certainly, I think, a big game, whether that be, at least in the ACC, whether that be Miami or Clemson, right? And all of a sudden, you are realistically in the conversation for the rest of the way. And maybe it comes down to the Florida game at the end of the year, whether you make the playoff, the 12-team playoff. But I think Florida State will be in the conversation with a win over Miami. I know I'm getting way out over my skis, but that kind of a win that you just witnessed is what allows for the conversation. And, you got two layups here. No disrespect to those opponents. Obviously, you got to take care of business on the road on a Friday night in Charlottesville, but Florida State has the talent to do that. They certainly look to be locked in and focused. So I'm anticipating they're going to get another big win, not just the Alabama game. I didn't think they'd win that game. They won that game convincingly. I think they can snag another big win that will keep them in the conversation for the rest of the year.
Tom, I'm going to give you choose your own adventure. Either let us know whether you'd be upset or disappointed if they don't make the playoff, or is it crazy that I'm even asking you this question? I said on the Warchant report last week with Ira and Jeff that, going into the game, it felt like, Florida State fans were telling themselves, even if we lose this game against Alabama, it's okay because it's not a conference game. We'll be able to regroup, reset, and then everything will be ahead of us, our goals. But if you were able to win the Alabama game, then you're going to, I'm like, hey, man, rocket ship to the moon. Like everything is possible at that point. Or are we getting ahead of our skis? Am I getting ahead of my skis asking you a question about whether you'd be upset or disappointed if Florida State were not to make the playoff?
No, I don't think it's a crazy question. I think it's reasonable, because when we go back to the trenches and what Florida State did in the trenches, or the composure, Alabama's talent level is on the level of Florida State's best opponents in this 12-game slate they've got. Clemson, Miami, Florida. Alabama's right there, if not at the top. And I know they had a couple injuries, especially one in the defensive interior. That might have mitigated things a little bit, but it's Alabama. They've recruited like kings for the last 15 years. So if you win in the way that Florida State won, it is not crazy to ask that question. The one thing I would say, and I think I fall in line a little bit with Jeff here, is I would be disappointed if they're not in the playoff conversation deep into November. If they're not in the conversation, that means they slipped up somewhere else along the line, in addition to losing to a game, to an opponent like Miami and Clemson, perhaps. But I really feel like I would be disappointed if we turn the calendar November 1st or November 8th and Florida State is not at least within the discussion, then something bad happened that doesn't match up or line up with the Alabama results. But I fully expect at this point, unfortunately, in some ways, we're probably going to have to watch that college football playoff show just to see where Florida State ranks for the first few weeks of those ranking releases.
It was content. As director of original content, though, you got to like that. Tom Lane gave us something to talk about, so we'll take it. Rich people problems or first world problems or whatever, I'll embrace that. We're going to have to try to embrace the East Texas A&M Lions. Not sure how much of a breakdown we're going to have for you when we come up here on the second segment, but the tease is, what do we need to worry about on the upcoming schedule? Matt Lasser is going to give us kind of a roundup of what's going on across the country with the teams that Florida State will be facing, and we'll give you our thoughts on some of these teams on that schedule. Keep it here. We're coming back. More Warchant Report powered by Cummins. Coming soon. On the field, a resurgent Florida State football team, we all hope. And off the field, the Cummins own and QG 7000i DF. The DF standing for dual fuel. That's right, a generator that can run on gasoline or liquid propane. Available later this year, the Onan QG 7000i is a great fit for your Class A or fifth wheel RV. In addition to the versatility of dual fuel sources, the QG 7000i delivers world-class engineering from Cummins that results in low vibration, clean exhaust, and electric fuel injection for better efficiency and less maintenance. Follow Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram for more information and be the first to know when the QG7000i drops. Cummins, a world power leader. Welcome on back. It is the Warchant Report powered by Cummins. I'm Aslan Hajavandi, joined by Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang. We work for Warchant.com, and we want you to come on out and hang out with us Friday night over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, or I guess maybe Friday afternoon, Friday evening, 5 p.m. happy hour. We'll have some folks on site. Corey Clark, probably myself, Tom Lang. Aforementioned Jeff Cameron, I take it back. He's got to be a proud papa. He's got to watch his boy ball out.
I may stop by for one, Aslan. I may stop by for one. We got a little time before that game.
So, like, when we say Bryce Cameron more of like a Danny Amendola, Wes Welker type, or like Julio Jones freakazoid?
No, definitely Danny Amendola type. Yeah, he is a stereotype across the board. He is a slot white wide receiver. Yes, that's what he – but he's a burner, so, he can really go. But, yes, he's a slot guy.
All right. Well, we'll see if he can make it on our radar over on the On3 rankings. I'll see what I can do. If you're a student, everybody, just know that you can still join warchant.com for absolutely free. Just email support@warchant.com from your fsu.edu email address and just put in the heading like student membership. Be like, I'm a student. I want a free membership, and we'll get you set up. If you're not a student, well, we can offer you $1 for a week of access to warchant.com and a year subscription to The Athletic. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. All right, this is the part of the show where usually Matt Lasser catches up with somebody who covers the opposing team, and we get this full breakdown and scouting report, but it's East Texas A&M, and there's not a lot of people on that beat. So we tasked Matt with giving us kind of a summary of what happened to the teams Florida State will be facing later on in their schedule in Week 1.
All right, instead of doing the regular matchup where we talk to another writer, this time around, I'm just going to give you guys scores from Florida State's rivals. It's hard to find one from East Texas A&M. I have driven through there, and I can tell you there's not much there in general. So, yeah, we'll start off with Florida going up against Long Island University, an FCS opponent. Again, a lot of young guys got some time here. Kind of tough to really see what they had in it. Like Tramel Jones, former Florida State commit, got to play a good amount. But DJ Lagway had 3 touchdowns and 120 yards. Same with wide receivers. A lot of young guys got to get some reps like Burnell Brown, TJ Abrams, Montgomery. A lot of young guys, again, getting playing time there. Rushing attack, Jaden Bogg was the main guy with 104 yards on only 9 carries. But again, 55-0, and the defense did good too, only giving up like 50-something, around 50 yards. They play USF, who looked good in Week 1 this week. And then we have Miami. Miami played Notre Dame on that standalone Sunday night game. Miami ended up beating the Irish after Mario almost blew it again there at the end, but they ended up winning 27-24. The biggest takeaway from this game was really the Miami defensive line imposing their will at the end. They really looked good and put that game away. CJ Carr had nowhere to go and no time to finish it off. So that is shaping up to be a very good test for this Florida State offensive line in a few weeks. And that's obviously the game we kind of look forward to the most right now, with having 2 lower-end opponents and then Virginia before Miami comes to town. And also another standout for Miami was Malachi Toney, the freshman wide receiver, who had 6 receptions for 82 yards and a touchdown. And then obviously there was that amazing catch by Daniels in the first half. Now we will go to Clemson, South Carolina, where Clemson took on LSU, one of the other marquee games of the weekend, primetime, ABC, Saturday night, all of that. LSU actually ended up taking this one 17-10. It was kind of interesting. Cade Klubnik, the quarterback for Clemson, had a decent stat line still with 19 completions for 230 yards. No touchdowns though, and he did have an interception. The rushing attack looked down for the Tigers as they only rushed for 31 total yards on 20 attempts. That's something definitely to watch. So, yeah, that is all that's going around in the state and then going up to South Carolina and Clemson. Enjoy this game this week. Hopefully the Noles go 2-0. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks to our guy, Matt Lasser. Give him a follow on Twitter. You saw his handle there. He surely would appreciate it. Tom, I'm going to start with you. This should be an easy question. I think I'll get probably a direct answer. It might be the same answer from all of us on the screen, but now that Florida State looked the way they did against Alabama and it feels real, what game on this schedule are you most looking forward to now?
I would like to get technical, but I'm not. It's Miami because that atmosphere too. I had an opportunity to go sit with one of our great fans at Warchant.com, who's become a friend over the years, Spartanol71, and his season tickets. I was so thankful in retrospect now because of what that game became and what that game was that I got to see Doak 2.0. I got to see what it looked like and what it felt like and what it sounded like for about 25 minutes of that football game. And it was amazing. And if I could do that again for Miami, I think I might try to sneak in because that atmosphere is going to be unbelievable. And you saw what Miami did when they played Notre Dame. They pulled out to a pretty good lead, and then it got a little dicey towards the end, but they came out with a high-profile victory. They've got a couple more games that are going to be tests on their schedule before they come to Tallahassee. That game is a clash of titans. It's going to be an excellent recruiting weekend. And now that I know what Doak sounds like these days, there's no doubt that place is going to be coming a part of the seams for the Miami game. So that's got to be number one.
Good programming, Jeff Cameron, and everybody agreeing usually isn't. But, man, I hope you agree with Tom Lang, man. What game are you most excited to think about the way it could look, the way it could feel if things line up the way we think they could after the way Florida State looked against Alabama?
Yeah, for me, it's always Miami. I'm old. That's my rivalry game. Anyhow, it's always been the one that I get most excited about. To me, this has got the makings of that old school atmosphere. I never want to root for Miami to be up. So I'm not one of the guys that says, hey, when we're up, it's cool when Miami's up so we can have this great game. No, they can suck and we can go ahead and beat them down, and that's fine with me. But the problem is I don't think they suck. I think they're going to be good. And I'd like to think that we're good, and therefore that equals old school Florida State Miami at Doak with that atmosphere that we just got done witnessing, knowing that the sound is going to be there the way it always was. That thing will be intense. Yeah, got to keep your head above water here. Keep winning football games. Make sure you don't do anything to set the possibility of a great Florida State-Miami game back. That's the one.
I'm going to be watching that game from the comfort of my house, and I'm fine with it, but I'll have to probably put on a second undershirt before I go to campus and cover the post. It's just going to be that kind of game. Like, just honestly, it happened again. I talked about it on the show with Corey the other day. Like, I literally get chills when I think about what this city would be like for 96 hours or whatever in the lead up to an undefeated Miami, an undefeated Florida State. Because for all the quibbling that we do about ESPN, I do think ESPN tries hard every year to make Florida State Miami a very relevant game on their schedule, even when it really hasn't been a very relevant game nationally. So if they have like two top 10 teams, although I think Texas plays at Florida that weekend.
The key here is if Miami beats Florida before they face us, then it's here. We're going to get game day here. If they lose to Florida will probably host Texas. Yeah.
All right. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how the game against East Texas A&M goes. Again, noon kickoff in Doak Campbell Stadium. All I can give you on the lines is that their head coach, Clint Dolezal, is a Arena Football Hall of Famer. And I know that because Wes Durham told me that. So shout out to Wes Durham, fan of the program, possibly. But there's a lot to kind of look forward to in a game that could work out the way that some of these games do, rather, where you got a big time foe like Florida State taking on a team from a lesser conference, lesser division like East Texas A&M. So, Tom Lang, what are you going to be keeping your eyes on most? Is there a singular player or a segment group that you can give us an expectation you want to see out of for Saturday?
I'll go with the player. I know Jeff and I have had this discussion about like the philosophy of it, but the player I'm going to look for is Usman Chroma, and that's partly because Roydell Williams won't be available in this game. He suffered an injury for an undisclosed period of time, but he certainly won't be available for this week. And it's also because Usman Chroma, carry for carry, was the most productive player for Florida State in the running back room against Alabama. And I think a lot of those runs that might have gone for 4 or 5, that long 14-yard run where he's dragging a couple people, they might go a little bit longer against a program like East Texas A&M. Since you were citing West Durham, that means that you were watching that game, at least the replay of it, Aslan, SMU and East Texas A&M. One thing you see from early in that game is that when SMU wanted to run the ball up the middle, they got away from it very quickly because they were working on other things. That O-line drove the defensive front way back, straight back, 4 and 5 yards. If Gus wants to keep it simple and give the ball to 32 and some other running backs, it's going to be a productive day. So count me as somebody who's very interested to see the freshman Chroma get on the field on Saturday afternoon.
Jeff, what about you? Is there a singular player you have a high expectation or an expectation you could kind of lay out for us that you want to see performed out? Or is there a segment group you want to see kind of keep the momentum going, if you will, after Saturday's victory?
Well, a little bit of both, because Tom took my answer with Chroma. I think most of everybody, fans, anybody would say Chroma. But honestly, I'm really interested to see how deep down the depth chart do we go at quarterback. How much do you play? Obviously, Tommy Castellanos, who he's going to have to carry this team in the big games with his legs, as he did on Saturday against Alabama, but not in these games where Florida State has a distinct talent advantage. So how long do you play him? What aspects of your offense do you want to work on with him? Gus decided that the passing game wasn't great. It was efficient. It worked as well as they needed it to on this day. It's going to have to be better at some point too, though. So I wonder, what is the balance there? And then I would be lying if I didn't tell you I'm really excited to see if Sperry gets in this game and plays a lot. I really want to see the young freshman quarterback. Gus has raved about him. We did get to see him some in the spring scrimmage that we went to, and he looked good in that scrimmage. Now, they were running base, and it was install, and so I don't really know to what extent we should be excited about that. But the talent glimpse that we got from that young man has me excited to see him in a game running this offense. That's nothing against Brock Glenn, but I want to see Sperry in that situation, and I think they have a chance to play all three guys.
Just smother them, man. Just hope the defense just smothers them. I mean, I know they were a 50.5 point underdog against SMU last week. And, third quarter was somewhat a competitive game. Like, no, I don't, just halftime. Let's let the students go rehydrate properly. Let's sail into it and just, do what a team like Florida State has done so many times against a team that's coming from a position like the East Texas A&M Lions. But they got to line up and play the game. They will do so. We'll let you know how we think it's going to shake out with some score predictions from not only us here on stream, but everybody over at warchant.com. That's coming up next right here on the Warchant Report, powered by Cummins. A rebuild is in progress. Whether it's one of the top brands in college athletics or your adventurous spirit, we all need to recharge from time to time. So trust Cummins, the brand that's been a global power leader for over 100 years. Featuring the Onan line of portable power generators and power stations, tackle any project in your own climb to the top. Follow Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram to see the latest builds from the Cummins team and to get inspiration for your next outing. And get your questions into the Renegade Express mailbag. Be the one that's generating discussion to earn entry into the December grand prize drawing for a portable generator or power station from Cummins. Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram. Give it a follow. We are back. It is the Warchant Report, powered by Cummins. Cummins, an industry power leader for over 100 years. Check out all the cool things you can do when you've got portable power on your side, whether that's a portable generator, a generator in your RV, in your boat, or the security of one at your home. Cummins got you covered like nobody else. Give them a follow on Instagram. It's all just one word, Cummins Lifestyle. I'd appreciate it. Pre-game show going on 9 a.m. with Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang. You can check it out right on Warchant TV, which you should be subscribed to. You should hit the thumbs up. We'd appreciate that as well. And then the post-game show with Gene Williams and Tom Lang, usually 10 to 15 minutes after the game ends. But if this game goes the way I think a lot of us are about to predict here in the next few minutes, maybe it'll start a little bit earlier, Tom.
That order comes down from above. That's like the red bat phone rings, and it's time. And so, yeah, be alert on that in the fourth quarter, everybody. Thanks for pointing that out, Aslan.
All right. East Texas A&M, the Lions. They used to be called the Texas A&M Commerce Lions. They're coming to town. High noon, Doak Campbell Stadium. We don't have a line on this one, so we can't cop out by just saying we think they're going to cover. So without further ado, let's see what we're going to do with these picks and make some predictions from the rest of our staff. Gene Williams gets us started.
The 1-0, number 14 ranked Florida State Seminoles. Feels good to say that. Host East Texas A&M Commerce. That's a mouthful. This Saturday at noon at Doak Campbell Stadium. The Noles looking to go 2-0 in this contest. Look, I'll be honest. I don't know a lot about the Lions. I know they're an FCS team. I know they lost to SMU at week 1. They were 3-9 last year. So Florida State should roll in this very comfortably. But I want to throw a little cold water in this. I just think Florida State's going to go very vanilla in this game. They're coming off a huge emotional win. And let's face it, Tommy Castellanos does not need to run much in this game. We saw before what happens when your quarterback runs against FCS teams. So let's just taper things down a little bit. That said, Noles roll comfortably in this game. Give me Noles 45, the Lions 10.
All right, guys, I think East Texas A&M may be a little bit better than some people think. People haven't heard of the school because they've only had that name now for a couple of years. They actually played pretty decent against SMU last week. They had some red zone trips, but came up empty. But playing SMU and Florida State back-to-back, I don't think is going to be great for them. I like the Noles to win this game 48-10.
What's up, Nole fans? It's your old friend Corey Clark. I'm trying to make it 2 for 2. I was the only one on the Warchant staff, obviously, that picked Florida State to win last week, and I said they'd win comfortably, and I was right about that. So here we go, 2 for 2. Don't look that up, by the way. East Texas A&M, I don't think they shouldn't provide much of a challenge for Florida State. It's just a matter of if Florida State comes out focused and ready, and you don't get another North Alabama situation where it's ugly for a quarter. I'm going to say with the running game, trying to get a lot of guys in, the fact that they're going to keep throwing it to try to get the backup quarterbacks, if they get in the game, to try to get them some completions and some scores. I think you're looking at somewhere in mid-50s if Florida State plays well. So let's say 53. That's not mid. Let's say 55-10.
I forgot today was Pick'em Day, so you're getting it while I'm making dinner in the kitchen. But obviously Florida State's going to win this one. I'm kind of excited to see the young guys shine a little bit. NCU stands out. Maybe we'll get some Elijah Moore highlights, get to see a little bit of Chase Lofton. And it's also going to be interesting to see how Landon Thomas picks it up here with Randy Pittman being out. It's kind of a good time for him to step up. He's dealt with minor injuries, so excited to see how he plays, even though it's against a lower opponent. But yeah, let's go 54-7.
Thank you to those gentlemen as they give us their picks. Now it's our turn again, high noon. Doak Campbell Stadium, just the way I like it in early September. Maybe a little bit of a mild afternoon. We can get on with the rest of our days after Florida State hopefully cruises to victory in this one. Again, we don't have a line on this, and I don't even know how official. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99.5% sure. I actually did see a line for them against SMU last week, and it was 50.5. So maybe with that in the back of the mind, or the way the final score came down last weekend against SMU, Tom Lang, what's your score prediction for Florida State and East Texas A&M?
This is one where we'll see how interested Gus is in running it up, and that might be an order that comes down from Mike Norvell. Last week, I think the reason SMU didn't pull away is because they got cute and they were working on things. Kevin Jennings, I think, went rogue a little bit. Rhett Lashley called some trick plays. If you run straight ahead, you're going to run up a big number here. I think Florida State wants to get a lot of dudes reps because these are two new schemes. Remember, they were pressing for those reps in preseason camp. I'll get Florida State into the 60s this week. Let's go 63-6, Florida State.
Woo! A big number.
In the 60s.
60s. Jeff Cameron. It was a 42-13 game last weekend for SMU, but to Tom's point, maybe the Mustangs let things get a little, a little too loosey-goosey. How do you see Florida State locking down the Lions?
I do think that you want to rep the heck out of your new schemes, and so you're going to want to be efficient and get a lot of guys out there. I agree with all that, but I also think they're going to run the ball a lot, which will run clock a lot, and I don't know that we're going to get into the 60s because of it. So I'll take Florida State to win 52-14.
You were right on my number. I got it. You both did. I promise you I didn't cheat, everybody. I'm going to take Tom's score for East Texas A&M. I'm going to take Jeff's score for Florida State. I'm going to go 52-6. I think Florida State cruises to victory in this one. They just seem really, and I know it's lip service or whatever, but when they were at the podium on Tuesday and Wednesday when we spoke to these players, guys, especially like a guy like Ashton Barker, or actually, I'm sorry, maybe even more so Luke Pettibone, just like, hey man, great win, like for sure, but we're focused on getting better. And East Texas A&M, I think Ashton Barker on Wednesday was like, what was it 3 days ago it happened? Like, we're past that. So, and it felt real. It didn't feel like that was like a canned response. So I think they'll be able to put on a really strong performance. Lots of depth on display. Maybe Ooze, maybe Kevin Sperry, probably Ooze, and probably Kevin Sperry. So tune in for it. Noon kickoff. Get yourself ready by catching the pregame show with Jeff and Tom. Starts at 9 a.m. If you're going to be in town in Tallahassee, come on over to the Hotel Indigo at 10 a.m. for a meet and greet. I think it might be Ira's turn to show up for that one. So if you want to hang out with 5-Star Chauffeur, come on down. If you don't want to wait until Saturday, Friday, 5 p.m., Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, happy hour meet and greet. Post-game show, 10 to 15 minutes after the game, maybe a little bit earlier. So, you've been warned. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell. That way you'll know when Gene Williams and Tom Lang are going live talking about the Noles. Thanks to Jeff. Thanks to Tom. Thanks to the rest of our staff for their picks. And thank you for watching this latest edition of the Warchant Report powered by Cummins.